I'm just going to run through a laundry list here. The first one is to listen without centering themselves. And for me, this was a good exercise to sit here and listen. You know, I'm not going to comment, I'm going to listen. To practice active listening to understand trans and non-binary experience without redirecting that conversation to the cis-gay perspective, okay? And for cis-gay men, that's hard to do, but it's something we all need to work on and need to focus on. Use and model correct language. Again, it's something that's obvious, but it needs to be said. To consistently use chosen names and pronouns, but then more importantly, to correct others who misuse them, especially in those cis-dominated spaces. Another thing, to share access and platform. When given the mic or visibility, to amplify the trans, queer, non-conforming voices rather than speaking on their behalf. To include them in the panel, to include them in these conversations. Number 4, redistribute resources. It's important for the cis, gay, male community to donate their money, their time, and skills to mutual aid networks, housing support, healthcare initiatives that are centered on trans and queer people. And I'm proud to say, I think my husband and I tried to do that. Housing support, we support Project Transitions here locally, healthcare initiatives, we support Vivint. There's all kinds of spaces and organizations in which we can do that. Another thing that the cis, gay, male community can do is to challenge transphobia and misogyny in gay spaces, to actively confront exclusionary attitudes or hostility towards trans and gender diverse individuals within the gay male community. I think your example, what happened when the Houston group said we're going to draw out, would be a perfect example of that. Educate other cis people. You know, to take the emotional labor of explaining concepts of gender diversity to cis individuals, reducing the burden on the trans and non-binary people from having to do that all the time. Just a real quick anecdote at my law firm, I'm in the break room. One of my law partners, somehow the bathroom bill, the Texas legislator came up, and he said, yeah, you know, I don't want some dude to come into my daughter's bathroom and pull his dick out in front of her. And I was like, wait a minute, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's not like he's an evil person or a bad person, he's an ignorant person. These issues aren't in his face, they're not in his feed, he doesn't know anybody. And so I took the time to say, well, let me explain to you what this is really all about. And it was interesting, he listened to me. And it didn't take long to explain it to him, and after I explained it to him, he's like, oh, okay, now I understand what this is about. But somebody needed to explain that to him, and because he perceived me as a peer, he listened to what I said. That's something that we all need to do. Another thing is to collaborate in organizing and advocacy, to work alongside trans and queer activists in campaigns for healthcare, access, legal protections, without dominating leadership roles. That's important. And I've spent a lot of time with the LGBT Bar Association working with other trans attorneys, particularly when the gender marker name changes we were like pumping those through. But I thought that was some of the most important work that I did, was to spend time with those individuals doing that kind of work. We need to re-examine masculinity and privilege to reflect critically on how cis-gay men may reproduce the patriarchal, racist, and classist hierarchies within our own spaces. That happens, and we've all seen it happen. And again, it's something we need to be conscious about and try to avoid. We can support trans, queer art and culture, to attend, share, and fund art, writing, performances, and culture work created by trans and gender-conforming people. And I congratulate the Eagle on taking the initiative and doing some of that work here. And then we need to foster safer community spaces, help build inclusive environments, bars, clubs, community centers, and online projects that are welcoming to the transgender and queer communities. And I appreciate your comment about not just saying, hey, the door has an open sign on it, but to go ahead and include these different communities in the actual operation and running of these events, these organizations. So there's just a quick laundry list of things that cis gay men can do. And when you say it, it all seems sort of obvious, but sometimes I think it's important to actually verbalize those tasks.
Thank you so much.